We begin today with the Department of Justice and moments that define a presidency and a country. In modern times, there was, of course, this moment during President Richard Nixon's presidency.
Good evening. The country tonight is in the midst of what may be the most serious constitutional crisis in its history. The president has fired the man you just saw, the special Watergate prosecutor, Archibald Cox. Because of the president's action, the attorney general has resigned. Richardson's deputy, William Ruckelshaus, has been fired. All of this adds up to a totally unprecedented situation, a grave and profound crisis in which the president has set himself against his own attorney general and the Department of Justice.
A grave and profound crisis. As we know, that moment ultimately led to Nixon's resignation and was a turning point that shaped the Department of Justice for decades to come. The country essentially said that will never happen again. But now, with the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey, we appear to be at another one of these moments, with a sitting president openly pushing the DOJ for prosecutions of his perceived enemies and a DOJ leadership team that is willing to comply, despite the opposition of career DOJ prosecutors. In both cases, we have presidents using the power of the Justice Department to do what they want, whether to protect themselves or prosecute their perceived enemies. But one thing that differs at this point is that presently, the pushback is only coming from one side of the political aisle, and Trump has already forecasted that this is only the beginning.
Now that James Comey has been indicted, who is the next person on your list in this retribution?
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt. There'll be others. Look, that's my opinion. They weaponized the Justice Department like nobody in history. What they've done is terrible. And so I hope there are others, because you can't let this happen to a country.
And speaking of those others, the New York Times reported just last night that the DOJ is seeking information on Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. You remember her. She led the election interference case against Trump in Georgia. Quote, federal investigators have subpoenaed records related to travel they believe Fani Willis took around the time of last year's election, but it was not immediately clear why. But the document reviewed by the Times is an indication that the Justice Department under President Trump may be investigating another one of his old foes. And late last night, Attorney General Pam Bondi backed up Trump's threats that there will be others when she had this to say.
Whether you're a former FBI director, whether you're a former head of an intel community, whether you are a current state or local elected official, whether you're a billionaire funding organizations to try to keep Donald Trump out of office, everything is on the table. We will investigate you and we will end the weaponization.
Everything's on the table. Joining us now, former federal prosecutor Paul Butler, who is also an MSNBC legal analyst and Georgetown law professor, and New York Times D.C. correspondent covering the Justice Department, Glenn Thrush. Glenn, I want to start with you. This is something, when it comes to Comey, that Trump has wanted to do for nearly a decade at this point, right? He has been going after Comey for kind of starting the criminal background as Trump sees it. But the indictment that we have is vague. It was unclear whether it was about McCabe, and now it seems like, person number 3, as MSNBC has reported, is Richmond. So talk folks a little bit through what we have in this indictment and what it tells you about where this case is going.
Well, what's in the indictment is a very quick read. It is about 2 to 2.5 pages long. The only signature on it is Lindsay Halligan, the Trump former defense lawyer, who, without a minute of courtroom experience before she appeared in Alexandria Federal Court on Thursday, and it hinges on some testimony that Comey gave before the Senate Judiciary Committee in 2020. And we should just say the timing of this is not accidental or coincidental. On Tuesday, the statute of limitations for prosecuting Comey for lying to Congress expires. So there are 2 counts. It's really one crime, which is lying to Congress about whether or not he used a cutout, a staffer, to communicate confidential information to reporters. It is one of the thinnest indictments my colleagues at the paper can recall. It contains very, very little information about how Comey behaved, or in the allegation, misbehaved. And it doesn't even quote Comey directly. It quotes a paraphrase of Comey's testimony from Senator Ted Cruz. The general feeling on this, both inside and outside the federal prosecutor's office in Northern Virginia, is that it was a weak case. There isn't enough evidence to have brought this indictment, and the belief is generally that its prognosis moving forward is extraordinarily iffy.
Paul, one of my takeaways is that you can't indict a salami sandwich, but you can still indict a ham sandwich. Is that the point here, even though what Glenn lays out, that this is a very weak indictment, but potentially lacking real teeth for a conviction? Do you think that is this Justice Department's end game at the end of the day?
Totally. So to get a grand jury to indict, there have to be 12 out of the 23. So it's not a requirement for a unanimous verdict. It's the lowest standard of proof in the legal system. Probable cause, very different from a trial where you have to have a unanimous verdict again, and the jury has to find proof beyond a reasonable doubt. In this case, 14 of the 23 grand jurors voted to indict. On 2 counts, there was a third count that they didn't vote to indict. So most prosecutors have never had a grand jury fail to indict ever. It's a very rigged system in favor of the prosecution. The defense attorney isn't allowed in the room. There's no judge, and the prosecutor isn't obligated to present evidence of innocence. So it's easy to get an indictment. They had a tough time there. We don't like to predict what's going to happen in a trial. I can tell you it's extremely unlikely that James Comey will ever be convicted of a crime.
Glenn, I want to get a little bit into the particulars of this indictment, which in it, we don't know exactly who they are referring to when they're talking about this allegation that James Comey lied to Congress. We think that it's about a 2020 exchange that Comey had with Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. But what exactly do you know, does the New York Times know when it comes to who is referenced, who's person number 1, who's person number 3 in this indictment, and what allegation they're leveling against Comey?
Well, it appears from our reporting, and we've published this. Daniel Richman, I'm not sure which one is 2 or which is 3, but Daniel Richman, now a Columbia law professor, who we reported was subpoenaed in this case, and by the way, did not provide any information that appears to have compromised Comey, is one of them, and the other one appears to be former FBI official Andy McCabe. But let's look at the broader picture here. It is very difficult, as we're kind of studying the legality of this and the evidentiary trail. I think to some extent you have to move beyond the 4 corners of this indictment and look at the politics. Lindsey Halligan was inserted into that position essentially on Trump's whim at his direction when Eric Siebert, his previous pick for that office, was ejected for not going along with this indictment. What we are seeing here at every level of the system below Trump, and actually, just to kind of go back to Bondi's statement last night, Bondi has this persona on Fox, and by the way, I should say she only appears on Fox. She has not sat down for an independent interview with us or anybody else. She appears to be very strongly behind all of this stuff. She projects this image of a tough prosecutor. In fact, our reporting shows that Bondi and her principal deputy, Todd Blanche, objected to Siebert's firing, and they warned the White House that the evidence in the Comey case and a mortgage fraud case against Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, was profoundly weak. And they attempted, I think, to sort of moderate what was going on last week. They were blindsided by the appointment of Lindsey Halligan. So this image that Bondi is attempting to project by speaking to Sean Hannity, who she considers to be one of her close friends, is in a sense, there's more than meets the eye here. There is dissension creeping up the ranks at the Justice Department, although as you know, the prime directive for all of these folks is to keep their job and to maintain their good relationship with Donald Trump.
And Paul, that prime directive came directly from the president, right? He posted on Truth Social, that feels like a million years ago, but just like last week, saying they needed to start indicting people, that time was running out, time being the fact that the statute of limitations on Comey was running out. I want to play some sound from Deputy AG Todd Blanche about how he and the Attorney General are thinking about what Trump said.
I appreciate that truth came out last week. We are working all day, hard every day. The Attorney General and I, Director Patel, to do everything that this president ran on to keep America safe and to make America safer. And so when the president says that he's reading things or that he wants us to do investigations and he wants us to do our job, the Attorney General does not take that as pressure. I don't take that as pressure.
It is literally pressure. The president of the United States isn't supposed to be saying anything to the attorney general, right? One of the things that Barack Obama has talked about and Comey has talked about in the past is that they met the one time and that was kind of it, right? When they did the interview and that was the end of that. But we're seeing this pressure campaign that Trump promised to do. He wanted to do it in Trump 1.0 and wasn't able to. But when it comes to the case against Comey, how easy is it to prove for his lawyers that this is a selective prosecution, that this is a vindictive prosecution, when there's all this evidence that the president of the United States ordered this prosecution?
So normally motions to dismiss a case based on vindictive prosecution lose because you have to provide evidence, the defendant does, of an ill motive by the prosecutor that she was vindictive or selective or political. And normally defendants can't find that kind of evidence. Here, there's a mountain of evidence. Last night, President Trump said they did this to me for 4 years. We have a social media order to the Attorney General of the United States. You got to do something now. We have the experienced prosecutor who he fired. This guy had been a prosecutor for 15 years. He said, DOJ regulations say we can't bring a case unless we can convince a jury. We're going to lose this case. Trump said it didn't matter, or Bondi said it didn't matter, so they insert their hand-picked person. Again, the person who said, based on his experience, they couldn't win the case, prosecutor for 15 years. The person who's bringing the case, who signed the indictment, today is Saturday, she's been a prosecutor for 6 days.